साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. Om. Which one is that? Where do we start? Om Sahana Punatu Saviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Asito Ma Sadgamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Everybody had their lunch?
No.
Yeah. No? I don't hear the energy. Is it because we had a gap of 3 weeks? That's why I don't feel any energy from
I'm just
you
really
guys.
tired because I woke up at 12 and it was really early for me.
Oh.
Energy! No, I'm just kidding.
I don't feel energy, guys.
Energy.
Yesterday, right?
It was only what, 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
It's not that much, right?
It's been a while.
Wait,
We have spring break.
3
Don't forget.
Yeah, you had spring break. Your energy is lost in the spring break, I guess.
We had
Spring break.
Hi guys.
Did you not get my text? You were texting me back.
Okay. It feels like I have to separate you guys if you're talking on text messages. Okay.
Yeah, guys.
Okay, guys. So I hope you guys had a good 3 weeks without Gita class, and I hope you guys have revised something. But if you haven't, we will revise it here. Okay. So, can anybody tell me where are we? You don't say. Which slok are we on?
21.
21.
30.
no.
Yeah, can we set?
Except these two girls. Can anybody tell me where we left?
19. That's what I was saying. 19.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, we did 20.
20, 19 or 20. That's what I was thinking.
I was so close.
Yeah, 31.
That's a 21 first.
And then you said 30. Yes, it is.
31.
Hey, there is somebody in the waiting room.
2 people.
What the-
The Dhruva Darshan.
Okay, so let's start. So, hi Dhruv, hi Darshan.
Question.
I see Dhruv and Darshan upside down.
People aren't in the waiting room down there.
At least nobody can be like, who's
Okay. Hi guys, so we have 2 new classmates here. Dhruv and Darshan are joining us on Zoom call. Say hi to Dhruv and Darshan.
The excitement.
They're excited, Dhruv and Darshan, that you are with us.
Not really.
Just kidding, Sean's not really excited.
Guys, let's start. So we were on chapter 2nd of Bhagavad Gita, and we are studying Bhagavad Gita right now. With we have done 20 sloks of chapter 2nd. So we are so excited about that. Okay. So we are, in this part of chapter 2nd, we have learned the central teaching of Gita, which is what are you, right? We are learning what are you, what is the self, what is this spiritual being that we talk about, right? There is an old saying that we think we are human being in search of spiritual experience, but the truth is we are spiritual beings having human experience. Right? You got that? That's what it is. So this is what we figured out so far from slok 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, right? So that's what we feel like in all these 10 sloks, we understand what are we, what is self, what is the consciousness. So last time we talked about a lot of characteristics of consciousness, the soul, us, as a self. All these things are same thing that I'm talking about, the consciousness, self, soul, right? They all come together at the Atman. All, everything is synonym of each other. So, anybody remember the characteristics that we studied? Yes, Sunny?
Unchanging, eternal.
Unchanging. One at a time. Unchanging. So the soul consciousness is unchanging, eternal.
This is on
This is out. Eternal. What else?
here. It's still spelled wrong. Wait, never mind.
Okay. What else? Yes.
What's it called? Exist, like, what's you think it's exists, like always exists?
Reality or
No.
it's only real?
It's real.
Yeah, it's real.
That's right.
Okay. What else?
Real.
What else?
Someone's
It looks like I'm looking up because so
Let me hear what he's saying. What are you saying? Say again.
it looks like I'm looking upwards because I have a monitor and my camera is down, so
Okay.
I might just
Can you adjust, Krisha?
on his screen. He has a monitor up and a camera down. I mean, a camera
Up and
a
down.
monitor
Can you see the board?
yeah.
And can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So let's go. So anybody else? Come on, guys.
Okay.
Yes.
It's like I'm looking through my notebook.
Notebooks. Yeah, open your notebooks and see because last time we I wrote everything on the
I
board.
lost my page.
Yes, Anil.
He's at the
Sunny, you are the
All pervading.
all pervading. Awesome. All pervading.
Oh,
I don't know what this is.
All pervading.
limitless.
Limitless. Awesome.
Past and future.
Limitless.
So Antra saying something.
What?
Past and future.
Past and, it stays in past and future. It is present, past and future. It never dies.
Yes.
Right?
Never dies.
Not usually getting present.
Let's do never dies. What else?
There's no. How many are there?
Many.
Consciousness. No, subtlest.
Subtle.
Subtle. Yeah, right?
Oh, I wrote subtlest.
It's the subtlest out of like everything. but
Subtlest.
When you're not comparing it to anything, you can't call it
Okay.
subtle.
So you know from slok 11, 12, 13, 14 we talk about that it is immortal, right? It doesn't die. So one more thing, let me join immortal.
6 and that's the same thing.
Well,
It's the same thing, it never dies. Right? So we talk about that it's immortal. It never subjects to that, right? But here is the thing that the 16th slok also given a stunning characteristics of consciousness and soul. What was that? That was that it is real, right? There is nothing else other than consciousness that is real. So 16th says that it is only real and it has an existence. All the other things are dependent reality, right? You remember that? We discussed in detail about dependent reality. Everything depends on
reality.
what is the reality?
Consciousness.
Consciousness. Everything depends on. So everything exists around you. The world appears around you because of.
Consciousness.
In the consciousness, the world appears, right? So the world is not real if we talk about it. The only reality is consciousness. The entire world around us is dependent on
Consciousness.
on ourself, the consciousness. That's why the world is there because of the consciousness, right? So yes, Sana.
Your consciousness.
Yeah,
So, you said if we die, then nothing will change.
yeah.
So, but you also said that it's dependent on consciousness. And if we are consciousness, and if we die, nothing will change, that means the world isn't dependent on us, right?
So we, there are two V's that you are using right now. We as consciousness, and then you are using as we die, means the body die, you are not that. Right? So you are taking we as body, mind and intellect also, and you are taking we as consciousness also. You have to select one we. You cannot select both the V's. Right? Because body, mind, intellect is not you. It's a body, mind and intellect. Right? In that, you are the consciousness. Right? So when the body, intellect die, you don't die. The consciousness doesn't die. Right? So there are two separate things that we are talking about. Don't mix them up, because then that's where the confusion comes. You got it? So so that's that we already discussed, right? In 17th, so this was 16th, and then in 17th slok we said it's all pervading, right? It is everywhere. It's not you and me separate. When we talk about consciousness, it's pervading the whole entire world. That's how the existence comes, right? So that was 17th slok. Then we went to the 18th slok and we talk about that it's not an object, right? The consciousness is not an object. So another characteristic, it's not an object. What is it?
Not an
What is it then if it is not an object?
A put.
No.
Everything.
It becomes a subject. It is the only subject. Everything else is an object.
We did like
Well, subject is a
remember we did like notes.
Grammar, yeah, but this is not grammar.
What was it, Krish?
We did notes on object and subject.
Yeah. Yeah, we did
We
talk
went
about it in
we
detail
did a
about.
class over it.
So what was it that we had everything else is like, we see that, hey, we see something, right? So seeing something, so if I see Janvi is an object for me, I is the subject, right? But when I think that I see not just by seeing it, when I see there is a brain working too, right, to it, then the I became an object, the brain became a subject, right? So if you keep layering down inside the body and keep going it will come to the consciousness become subject and everything else become object. So the entire world except consciousness is all object that you can study on. But consciousness is the one who is knower. It's not an object, it's a subject, right? So 18th slok told us that it was a subject, not an object. So then 19th said that consciousness is not the doer of the action. You remember that slok? We read it in detail. Like it's not a doer and it's also not an experience of the result of the action, right? Consciousness doesn't do anything. You remember the petrol and the car that we talk about in that example?
Oh yeah, and the
Right? The fuel is the soul, the consciousness. And the car and the passengers are different things. But the fuel is the one who doesn't do anything. The fuel doesn't direct you to go to one place to another place, right? It doesn't have a desire to go anywhere. But it is the energy in the car. It takes you, right? So the consciousness is the fuel of the car, right? The wheel and the driver are the mind and intellect and everybody else. So the consciousness is not the doer of the action, right? You guys all remember, you guys all forgot about these 3 weeks, everything that we learned last time. So it's the consciousness is not the doer, not the enjoyer or sufferer of the result of the action. So any action done, right? So the consciousness is not doing the action. Sometimes you say, oh God, I'm doing the action, why do you give me the result? It's not the consciousness who is doing the action. Who is doing the action?
You.
The body, mind, intellect limit. The limited thing that you have, that's what doing the action, right? So then the suffering and the enjoyment, also consciousness doesn't do it. Who does that? Enjoyment and suffering? Because we don't know our real nature, what our real nature is, ourself, then we fall into our body, mind, intellect, and we think that we are going through all these suffering, and we are going through all these happiness, right? Yes, sir.
Consciousness. Okay, it cannot get slain or it cannot slay or get slain.
Yeah, that was in 19th, right?
Yeah.
So he's not the doer, right? He's not the, so Krishna Bhagavan says the consciousness is not the doer. So that's why he cannot slain or slay, right? We read the whole poem about the slaying and slay. You remember that? You guys remember? Whose poem was it? Whose poem was it?
It was.
It was.
Ralph Waldo Emerson.
That's good. It was for Ralph Lauren. So it was all explaining about how we can, so consciousness is not the doer. That's why they say they cannot slay or slay anybody, right? So that was 19th. And then 20th slok we talk about that the consciousness doesn't go through the sixfold of changes that body goes through, right? The body gets born, it changes, it grows, it goes to the limit, then it starts decaying, and then it dies, right? So the body goes through these sixfold changes where the consciousness, the Atman, the soul doesn't go through those sixfold changes, right? So that's where we ended our studies from last time. So that was the 20th slok. Okay. Any questions till now? No? So what we're going to do is we're going to recite from 11 to 20 together, and then we will start from 21. You ready? Okay. In your sloks, we're going to go page number batana beta.
72.
Page number 7. Yeah.
Page number, Alia, it's page number 72. I don't know, Dhruv and Darshan, which Gita do you have?
Five from places.
Hey guys, okay, Dhruv, beta, do you have Gita with you?
I can probably go get it, but
Yeah, go get it. I will wait. Go run get it.
Wait.
Your mom has it, so go get it. There is a Gita in English.
alright.
So in that you open chapter 2. Come back and then I will tell you. So everybody,
We're starting on Shlok. We're starting on Shlok.
we are starting on 11. 11, Shlok number 11, Raja. Then we will start 21.
We have the same book. Okay, good. No, we're just
We're gonna, what we're gonna
No, you reviewed 22, right?
I feel like
20 also, not 22.
do, I did 20.
Okay, I remember you saying so.
Karnu, do you have Gita with you?
Last time I put it somewhere, but now I cannot find it.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Next time find it and then we can read together, okay?
Okay.
I'm just waiting for that. Oh my god.
My life plot.
Hush! Remember the movie?
Yeah, so I said
Yeah,
no.
okay.
What do you think we're talking about?
I didn't mark you got it.
Everybody has 11 slok open?
Yeah.
You have it, Janvi?
Yeah.
Wait, what are we reading
Number
to?
11?
11.
Good job. 11 to 20 and then we will start the 21.
I feel like I'm arguing right now. That question didn't get answered.
Okay, so we will go on chapter 2 and then slok number 11.
Page 72.
So go to chapter 2. Darshu, I think in your book it might be 71 page number, right?
Ours is 72.
72 page number. And Dhruv, I don't know what page number your will be.
Just experiment until you get to the page.
So chapter 2 and slok 11. Okay, we can start.
Not for this one.
Okay, Krish, you are ready? You guys are ready? Okay. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha Ashochanam Vashocastvam Prajnavadascha Bhasase Gatasunnagatasunscha Nanu Shochanti Pandita Natvevaham Jatunasa Natvam Neme Janadipa Nacheva na bhavishyama sarve vayamataparam dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiraskatra nimuyate Matra svarshastu konteya Shitoshana sukha dukkada Agamapayino nitya Tate sthasta bharata Yam yayina yatha yate Purusham purusharshabha Samadukha sukham dhiram somratyatyaga kalpate nasato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate sata ubayorapi drushtantas tvanayostatra darshati avinashi tu tadviddhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya na karchit kartumarhasi antavantam ide neha nityasvakta sharirana anashino praneyasya tasyadyodhyasya bharata ya enam veti hantaram yashenam manyate hatam ugoto na vichadino nayam hanti na hanyate na jayase niyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita bhavya ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Good job, guys. You ready, Reha? We'll go with slok 21. Louder volume. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. You do one line and then like the first part, and then we sing back. Then second part, then we sing back. Then third part, then fourth part, and then all together.
Veda vinashanam nityam yaenam ajam avyayam.
Okay. We're gonna do 1/4, 1/4. So we will drop it where we dropped it. Okay. Veda vinashinam nityam
Yaenam ajam avyayam.
ya enam ajam avyayam
Katam sha purusha partha.
katam sha purusha partha
Kangatayati hantikam.
kam kayati hantikam. Together, everybody. Veda vinashinam nityam ya enam ajam avyayam katam sa purusha partha kam kayati hantikam. Okay. So in this, God says, who he knows the self. The self, all these characteristics, imperceivable, constant, immortal, unborn, undestructible, who knows all these, how can that person slay somebody? Right? So he's saying the whole thing, he said all the things before, but he is now questioning to Arjun. Can you understand the person who knows the self, real self, not taking self as a body, mind, intellect, but the real self as a consciousness? Can that person kill anybody? Right? So now killing and everything, they are talking in that language, killing everybody, and we are not there to kill. Why are we reading this? You might think about that. But killing is because it is said in the battlefield, right? So that's why they are using all these slain and being slayed words. All these words are being used because this is done in battlefield. But really, a person, if we understand well what the self is, would you do any harm to anybody?
No.
Right? You know that there is no, like, the body intellect will go away, right? But you will not do harm. It depends. It depends. It only depends. Guys. It only depends when you don't know what yourself is. As soon as you figure out what yourself is, you will never think about harming anybody.
No, it also depends if he's killed like multiple people or he's also big.
Right.
So why would you let him kill? Why would you let him keep on killing?
Yeah, exactly.
Like why would you not?
Because his soul hasn't killed anybody.
Okay, guys.
I could be in court. I'd be like, my soul.
Welcome to soul jail.
My soul.
Okay, guys, let's come to the shloka again. So, Ved, the first word Ved, it starts with word Ved, which means to know. Now, to know and to realize, there are two different things. Always remember that. In this, it says to know, but it means to realize, right? To realize this means to live it, right? It's not just to know it. You remember Krishna Bhagavan said you talk very nice words, right, Arjun? You know all the things, you know all the Vedas, but you are not realizing it. You are not, living it. This is not the reality that you are living it. So, remember to know. You can say, oh, I attend Gita class, I remember all these verses, I know everything, and am I free? Am I enlightened?
Nope.
No.
I wish you did.
When you become enlightened?
When you live it.
When you live it, right? When you live all these teachings, then you become enlightened. In Vedanta, it is given that there are three steps to reach to that part where you start realizing everything. So there are three steps, not things, there are three steps. There are three steps. The first is Shravanam.
Why not him?
I will write. I'm trying to write in the alphabets.
The alphabet.
What is
Non-cursive writing.
Wait, what is this three-step for?
Non-connected.
how to get to realization, right? Shravanam, which is listening.
This class is terrible.
Hmm?
That is.
Listening, right? So what happens is Shravana means when you talk about these things, like what we are doing right now. We are doing this step. We are listening to it. We are listening what the self is, what the consciousness is. We are listening about it. We are thinking about, we are actually, getting the knowledge, right? So that's the first step, getting the knowledge. Without getting the knowledge, you cannot realize it, right? First, you have to get the knowledge. So step number one is getting the knowledge. So as much as you can listen to it, that's what you're going to get it. And that's how you're going to go to the next step. The second step is mananam.
It means
The last day of February, I think.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it.
Mananam.
Does it mean us?
Thought about it. Manam.
This could be a tongue twister. Say that 5 times.
No, I said
So mananam is thought about it, like you start thinking about it on your, not just in the Gita class. When Gita class we talk about it, consciousness, we talk about it and you think about it. But not just in Gita class, you actually think about it outside the class too.
Isn't it
You
thought?
start thinking about it.
Isn't it thought though? So you think it's thought.
It's a thought, yeah.
So you think about things.
You think about the things, yeah. So you
Yeah,
think
things-
about
things
you
really
think about
interesting.
you are the consciousness. You are not the body, mind, and intellect. When you start thinking that thought keep coming in your mind, then it becomes manana.
So who's the body, mind, and intellect?
You. No, not you. Not you.
We're
Not
the
you.
consciousness.
It's yeah.
It's
So
a form of you, kind
it's yeah. It's just giving you. You are renting it right now.
Oh,
for free.
just like
It's
a
free,
house.
right?
Yeah, you are renting it right now, right? So then you do.
My life is on
Then you do anything. It's not just about this process, but anything. When you want to learn about something, you want to realize it, you have to go through these 3 steps, right? So we did Shravanam, which is listening about it, getting the knowledge about it, right? Then thinking about it. In then Mananam, you have to clear all your doubts, right? So all the doubts gonna come in this step. And you clarify, like any doubts come, you go and ask the question, or you figure it out. Why is this right or not? And then you solidify that thought, right? So you solidify that, hey, I'm the consciousness. I'm not the body, mind, and intellect. So that doesn't impact us. So that goes through the step number 2, which is manana. The third step. Oh, another thing. The deeper mananam, the deeper form of mananam is reflection. You start reflecting upon it, right? So everyday life you start, thinking about it, but now you start living it, right? You start, your process will be like, hey, I'm not this body, mind, and intellect. I'm this consciousness. I'm this self who is all pervading, immortal. I'm not now fearing for my death, because what happens is, I die and then I get another body. I keep moving on. So the fear of death goes away, right? So those little things start coming in place in your thoughts every time. It's not just at a specific time. Now it is like a, the default thought, right? That's how it starts coming. Then the third one is a bigger word, nididhyasanam. And I'm going to write it. So write it down because it.
Can you say
Ni. Di. Nidhi. Dhya. Sa. Yes.
Maybe Dia.
Dia Sanam.
Actually, it's asanam. Asanam means
Sitting.
sitting.
Oh, we did. I got that right.
Okay, this one is contemplating or meditating.
if we have Jeopardy again, do we have to spell this?
Okay. N-I-D. No, I-D.
Wait, say it again.
You wouldn't be able to use
H-I-D-H-Y-A.
D-Y-A.
No, it's D-H-Y-A.
That's what I
DHY.
said.
DHYAS.
A-N-A-M.
Marcy, who are you?
You wouldn't even be able to use your journal. So.
Okay, so then you in this thing, the thought is already there. It starts with learning was already there. The thought is already there, and now you are contemplating on it all the time. So you are living that every single day. You are meditating on that. So that's how the process goes of learning. So when it says Veda, you know it. The person who knows it, it's not just knowing it. The person who is at this stage, right, cannot kill anybody or cannot harm anybody or cannot do wrong to anybody. Right? That's what this slok says. Right? So it's not about just knowing that hey, there is a consciousness. Oh, once upon a time I heard there was a consciousness. It's not about, right? It's not about that. It's about me, the consciousness, me, the self, right? Me, the person who is immortal. This is me, myself, right? So that's where it comes. So to know is when you are at this stage, that person will never hurt or never kill anybody. That's what Krishna Bhagavan is saying in this book. Got the point? Right? All good?
What stage do you think we are at?
What do you think?
-1.
No, good question. Good question. Very good question. What do you think we are?
1.
Yes.
One, because we're listening to you and learning and getting knowledge.
You got it, right. So you are at you're at Shravanam, right? When I'm not here for 3 Sundays, when you start reading it by yourself, then you will come to this stage.
Okay.
I'm at
That's
5.
our goal.
Let me do it.
That's our goal, because I can meditate.
I'm at 5.
-4
I read the
I tried it. I clicked on TikTok halfway through.
You got it? So anything that doubts, Krishu, are you disturbing the class?
No.
Okay. Then don't do it.
Also, you know you can't lie in those. In that.
It doesn't say.
Okay, you got it, guys. So the shlok, it says that, then it talks about all the adjectives. So Veda Vinashina. Vinashina means Vinash. You know Vinash in Hindi?
No.
Nobody knows Vinash?
Finish?
Yeah,
Wait, I
to
know
destroy.
Vinash.
Destroy.
Oh,
Yeah.
The
What
what's
is-
the meaning of my name?
Nityam.
I'm not.
Can we not have the extra conversation? Can we stick to the shlok? Nityam. Nityam is eternal, right? Then Ajanam means unborn. Then Avyayam means immutable. So all these adjectives, it says, if the person knows that his self is all these, he would not harm anybody. That's what it says, right? Okay, let's move on to shlok number 22. You guys, Reha, you ready? Let's read the shlok 22. Hold on, I cannot hear her. Guys, what, Raja?
This one's like the different pattern, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Vasham shijirnani yata vihaya
Vasham shijirnani yatha vihaya
navani grunati naroparani
navani grunati naroparani
tata sharirani vihaya jirnan
tata sharirani vihaya jirnam
anyani samyati navani dehi
anyani sanyati navani dehi. Together. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grunitani roparani tata sharirani vihaya jirnam anyani sanyati navani dehi. Very good, Reha. That was perfect. Okay. So in this shlok, if we start, it says that just as a person give off worn clothes and get a new clothes,
Oh.
right? All the torn and worn clothes, we give it up and wear new clothes. The same way, the unboarded soul gives the body away and gets the new body. Right? So,
Also use a lizard as an example.
So is that when we die, we get a new
so
body?
like, yeah, so that's what it is.
Old skin and he gets
So what we talk about is like, we go and buy clothes and we wear new clothes the same way the body goes and get new bodies when they are. Krishu? Okay, so that's how. I know, but can you not distract us? Okay. So that's how.
Leslie,
Yeah, Rajan.
I have a question. Why are we learning about this topic?
We are learning about this topic because that's how Gita is explaining about. So we are on chapter 2, right? So the chapter 2 explain about self. And Krishna Bhagavan says, before I get into the detail about why you don't want to fight, because Arjun doesn't want to fight, right? So Krishna Bhagavan is explaining Arjun that I don't want to fight. So Krishna Bhagavan explained that you have to fight, but then he starts with saying, what are you? Let me explain what are you, and then I will explain you why not to fight, right? So he is explaining yourself. What are you actually? You are not a body, mind, and intellect. You are a consciousness. So he is explaining that part, right? That's why we are on this topic. You got it? Okay.
I'm watching Bhagavad on Netflix. I'm in YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm on 34 when Draupadi gets married to like all of the five
Brothers. Yeah. Good. You're watching that. You will understand a lot. The Gita will come also in that. Okay. Okay. So now what it is saying that they go and how we change the clothes the same way the subtle body changes the body. Now let's talk about what are the bodies, right? So remember I talked to you about there are 3 kinds of bodies. Anybody remember?
Oh, is it the Armand thing?
What?
Nope. Just kidding.
What are the 3 kinds of body that we have?
Oh.
Yes.
Dead. Mine. Intellect. Wait, mine? About to get. Wait. Oh, wait.
The doer. Nope.
What kind?
Body, mind, and intellect?
No, that's not saying one thing.
Oh, wait.
Atman.
Mind, intellect, consciousness.
Yeah, they are in different part of the bodies. Yes.
Is it young?
Young?
Young? Young? Still young?
Anybody else wants to try?
Gross and subtler.
Subtle.
Oh,
And subtlest.
Dead. Just, I don't know where.
And
Cosmic.
cosmic. That's not a spell
Causal. Okay, guys, now listen. If you haven't heard the first time, hear the second time. Now I will ask, give me the right answer. Okay? So gross body, subtle body, and causal body. Those are the 3 kind of different bodies.
Casual.
It is causal. It is pronounced as causal
Oh,
body.
that's not even.
Okay. So gross body is what? Can anybody tell me?
It's gross.
No, it's not.
It's not an American gross.
You
Okay?
Not
can see
our-
big change.
Not
Oh,
our
gross.
consciousness.
Biggest
Yeah.
You can see big change.
So it is a physical body which you can see.
Like this.
Physical body you can see. Eyes, nose, eyes,
Oh, wait.
everything you can see, right? And even doctor can cut our body and see the organs,
I hope he does.
right? So that one is also a gross body. Like your liver, your organs, your heart, everything is gross body, right? You can see it. You can see the changes in it. Gross bodies are when you can see the changes, right? So you can see the changes in the body. So that is gross body. Subtle body is
mind.
mind
and intellect.
Spiritual.
Mind and intellect. Mind and intellect is subtle. And what was the subtlest we talked about? Consciousness is the subtlest. I will not write the
Just
whole.
write Atman.
Right
It's
consciousness.
easier.
No, right consciousness.
Just write Atman.
Right soul.
That's not how you
Just write
spell
me.
Atman. You add an extra A. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And causal body we're not going to discuss much, but what happens is when the gross and subtle body, have the mixed at the point where it just come into existence, like the seed of the tree. When both are in same thing and they come in existence. That's what the causal body is. And it is consist of vasanas and our tendencies. Right? So our what we want, vasanas are what we want, right? When if vasanas gives desire and desires give action, that's how it goes, right? So when we lived something, like we ate really good food, right? Then we desire to go back and eat in the same place, the same food. That's our vasana. It keeps coming out.
It's like our
Right.
thoughts of desires.
Of desires, right? So that thought converts to desire. We have to get that thing, and that desire makes us go to that restaurant, and we do that. Karma means we take the action to do it. So that one comes in causal body, right? So when gross and subtle comes in existence, that's what the causal body is. Like the existence, initial existence, the seed of the plant is causal. That's how you can understand that, right? Yes.
How is one desiring something gross? Because you're saying they both meet, but gross doesn't seem anywhere in desire. Because desire seems like an immaterial thing.
You got it. So what happened is all the sense organ are gross, right? Because eyes, nose. The desire always come with all the senses, right? Right? You got it? That's physical, right? So desire starts from physical and then thought, intellect and mind. So they both combine. That's how our tendencies and our desires are coming from, right? You got it? Okay. So very good question, Saneda. So that's how it is. Now, what happens when we die? Because what we are talking about, like dying is the changing of clothes, right? That's what the slok is saying, right? As you change the clothes, the body changes, the subtle bodies change the body, the physical body.
Just the body's hygiene.
I take a shower.
Yeah. No, because like when you get older, the body gets like
Disgusting.
older
not
and
the body's
older,
hygiene, it's the
and then
soul's hygiene.
you can't work everything as well. So
Yeah,
then
it's good.
you give up the body and go to a
Then
new
you still
body
have to
that
take
can
a shower
work
for
better.
80 years.
Or just like taking a shower.
Yeah.
You're tired and then
Yeah, that's what it's
Or
saying.
change clothes from old to new.
Just die, just die.
Okay, so listen, guys.
I wouldn't mind.
So what happens is, this gross body is the one that is physically growing, right? Goes 6-4 changes and eventually decay and get torn off, right? So that's how it happens. The subtle and causal body goes together and move on to the next thing, next body. So they found next physical body. These things stays together. Now they travel from one body to another. They need the consciousness we talk about is not movable, nothing, right? It stays at the same place. It's immutable, non-movable, it's stable, it doesn't move, it doesn't do anything, right? That's what we talk about the consciousness. Now, everything appears in consciousness, right? That's what we talked about it earlier, that everything, it's all pervading. So everything appears because we have consciousness. That's why the world around us exists. If we don't have consciousness, what happens?
we're not existing.
We are not existing. The world around us doesn't exist, right? So when the subtle body and casual body move from gross body after we die, it goes to the other body. Then what happens is it goes through the mean of consciousness from one place to another place, right? Yes, sir.
Why doesn't everything exist if we don't exist?
Because your existence, your consciousness is not there, right? As soon as this whole thing goes away, right? When we die, what happens? Consciousness, like our body is there, right? Is your physical body goes away?
Yep.
No, right? At that time doesn't, right? If I die right now, is my physical body vanished?
Well,
No. It decays when we die.
She's talking about right now. She literally said, if I die right now, will my body go away right now?
Would you not see me?
Hopefully not. I mean, hopefully.
You will see me, right? So the physical body doesn't go away, right? But inside me, something left.
Unless you get big
The
breath.
bones.
That means
Something left that from inside me. That's why I'm not there.
Your heart, you're beating.
Your consciousness.
Your heart.
Yeah, it goes away, right? So that's how it is.
How?
So just to let you guys know that, guys, this is how it is. The subtle body, our tendency, our desires all move on to the next body, right? So until we have all these desires and all these tendency, we're gonna keep getting new body because we have to fulfill our desires, right? So I want to have a palace in this life, but I did not get it. So that's my desire. What's gonna happen?
Nothing.
With that desire, with the same desire, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna
Go
take
to the
another
next
body.
life, and then
And then I will say, I need a palace in the next life, right? I will stick to that. So that thing gonna keep moving and keep getting. Guys, you need to be quiet. When I talk, you guys don't talk. When you talk, I will not talk. But when I talk, you guys have to listen. So then the body, it keeps moving. That's why it says the subtle body and the causal body comes together and move on to the next body, right? So that's how it goes from changing the clothes to changing the body. That's how the process goes.
Hygiene.
You got it? Okay. Let's move on to, did I miss anything here?
No.
No. So let's move on to the shlok number 20.
3. You just skipped 5 numbers.
Okay. Reha, you ready? Okay, go ahead.
Nenam chindanti sasrani.
Nenam chindanti shastrani.
Nenam dahati pavaka.
Nenam dahati pavaka.
Chainam kledayantyapa.
Na chenam kledayantyapo.
Na shoshayati maruta.
Na shoshayati maruta.
Together.
Nenam chindanti shastrani. Nenam dahati pavaka. Na chenam kledayantyapo. Na shoshayati maruta.
Okay. This says that weapon, which is shastrani, weapon does not cut it, fire does not burn it, water cannot make it wet, and wind cannot dry it. Right? So it's giving all 4 things that cannot do anything. Now, this is just a superficial, translation of this shlok. But let's go a little bit deeper into this shlok. So, the gross body that we talk about just now is made up of 5 elements, right? Too many things today to write and to remember. So, gross body is made up of 5 elements: earth, water, air. What was the other? Earth, water, air, fire.
Wind. Water.
She already did that. Earth, water, air, fire, and space.
But Earth has water in it, so.
Earth, water, air, fire, space.
She's talking
Earth
about 5
means
elements of
land.
the gross body.
Oh, wait, never mind.
5 elements of gross body. Physical body means. Okay. So this is, so look at that. It says shastrani, weapon. Weapon is part of earth element. Right? So weapon cannot cut it. Right? Consciousness cannot be cut by weapon. Water cannot wet it. Air cannot dry it. Fire cannot, what does it say? Fire cannot burn it. And the last thing it says, where is the 5th element of that? Space. So the element, the space cannot be so it cannot be destructed.
Space.
So it cannot, we always say that it is all pervading, right? We say it all pervading. So it doesn't limit the space. Space is not the limited, right? So all these is gross thing that can be. So can weapon cut the gross body?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
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 Can water wet the gross body?
Yes.
Can air dry the gross body?
Yes.
Can fire burn the gross body?
Yes.
And is it limited to the space, the gross body? Yeah, limited to the space?
Limited to a certain
Oh, yes.
Limited to the space, right? Okay. Right? So, what Krishna Bhagavan is trying to explain here is saying that you are the consciousness that he is talking about is not cut by any of these, means it's not a gross body, right? It's not depending on these 5 elements, so it's beyond the 5 elements, right? Now the whole what happens is this, they talk about law of karma. Anybody heard about law of karma?
Law of
Oh yes.
What
It's
is
a
it?
circle.
Yeah.
It's a circle.
So law of karma is what you do, that's what you get, right?
Yeah.
What you do, that's what you
If
get.
you meet someone, someone will meet you later.
Yeah, it's something like that.
That happened. If you murder someone.
If you do good, bad. Nobody can leave the law of karma. Everybody falls into law of karma, right? If you do good, you get good. If you do bad, you get bad.
You
Right?
can't do bad.
Right, that's so that's how. Sunny, can you listen to me, Raja? Can you guys listen to me rather than talking to them yourself? Okay. So what happened? There is a cause and there is an effect all the time. There is a cause and there is an effect that goes in line, right? So let me take an example of this. There is a clay, right? Clay, if you put together to make a pot, so for the pot, cause is clay, effect is pot, right? So cause is clay, effect is pot. Now, can pot destroy clay?
Maybe. No.
No.
It's not living, so I can't destroy anything.
No, it cannot destroy because it cannot destroy the clay. You can destroy the pot and make it to the clay again, right?
Or
But the clay cannot destroy, the pot cannot destroy the clay because clay is always there.
Clay is the basic.
Can't you throw the pot at the clay?
no, the pot is made of clay, so the clay is still
No,
there.
so if the pot, the pot can't destroy clay because the pot's made of clay. So if it's trying to destroy the clay, then it'll destroy itself.
It's, yeah.
We're
No,
talking about a clay.
clay, we're talking about clay and pot, guys.
I think
Science debate on pot
if you
clay.
throw a pot and a piece of clay, will it break? Will the clay break?
Wait!
No, guys,
The clay.
guys, you don't answer each other's question. I will tell you something. What happens is, if you take an example as an example, right? It's just an example that if something is made of something, like, so a pot is made up of clay, right? Can effect destroy the cause?
No.
It cannot, right?
Only cause can destroy.
The cause cannot destroy effect either, because we can destroy the effect and it goes back to cause. Right? If effect is destroyed, what happened? It goes back to the cause. Right? So remember that. Now if we talk about the 5 element, right? These came from
Consciousness.
Atma. Right? So that's the cause. Can any of these elements destroy the cause?
No.
No. Right? That's what he's saying here, that none of them can destroy the Atman. So none of these elements that gross body is made of can destroy the consciousness. Right? You got it? Okay, so now what were you saying, beta? You got it? Okay. So you got that? Let's go to the slope number 24. Come on, we are on the roll here. Okay.
I would like to roll. Energy. Party.
Come on, 24.
Where's
you
my
ready?
Gita actually?
You guys are ready for 24?
Yes.
Reha, you ready? Okay. Come on.
Yoyam, Adayoyam,
Ache Akledyo Yamadayo Yam.
Akledyo Shoshya Evacha.
Akledyo Shosha Evacha.
Nitya Sarvagata Stanu.
Nitya Sarvagata Sano.
Achaloyam Sanatana.
Achaloyam Sanatana.
On the first line, he says, oh, sorry, together. I'm sorry.
Achedyo Yamadayo Yam. Akledyo Shosha Evacha. Nitya Sarvagata Sthanur. Achaloyam Sanatana.
Okay. So in this it says it's repeating, the first line is the repetition of the previous slok. It says the same thing. It cannot be destroyed by weapon, it cannot be burned, it cannot be dried. So he says all the same thing that he says in the first slok, in 23rd slok. Now why is he repeating? Just to make sure that everybody understand it. It's a big thing that we need to understand. So he's like, everybody understand differently, right? So he's trying different ways to understand, to make Arjun understand. So he says the same thing again on the first line. The second line he put all the adjectives again, saying Nityam means it's eternal. Sarvagatam. Sarvagatam is all pervading, everlasting. Sthanur. Sthanur is stable. It's going to the state. Achala means not moving, immovable. And Sanatana is ancient, eternal. Again, eternal. So it's the same thing. It's giving all the adjectives of that, what Atman is. Now, just to give you one quick understanding about religion, right? We talk about religion a lot, right? Religion is, we have to follow the religion, we have to do this. The religion is also known as High. Hindu religion. Hindu religion is also known as Sanatana. Sanatana, what it says here, like last word of the slok is Sanatana, right? Hindu religion was known as Sanatana. What is it? What is the meaning of that?
Eternal.
Yeah, eternal, right? It doesn't mean that it's everlasting. It doesn't mean in the detail that everlasting. Now let me explain you about the religion. There is a lower religion, lower level religion, and there is a higher level of religion, right? Lower level religion in Hindi we talk is dharma, right? So lower level of dharma is one, the how the wise men should live their life, right? Ethical, like following moral. That's the lower religion, right? So you don't do harm to anybody. You live ethical life. That's the lower part of religion, right? Now, higher part of religion is you live ethical life, you live the right life, you follow the dharma, but you also go towards self-realization. So that's the higher level of religion. Now, what happens is, people say we have to follow the religion, but you know what? Nowadays, people are by itself getting better. By law and orders of the thing, people don't do bad things, most of them, right? Even though they follow the religion or not follow the religion, it doesn't make a difference. People are good without religion also, right? Right? But what we need to do is, what we need to concentrate in, when we follow the lower religion, which is doing good, not doing bad things, follow, devote to God and everything. But then there is one aspect that we always miss, is the self-realization part of it. When we have to go to the higher part of religion, right? So when we talk about Sanatana Dharma, it's Dharma that takes you to self-realization. So that's where the Dharma, Hindu Dharma was called as Sanatana. To not just follow the, ethical, moral life, but also go to the next level of self-realization, right? So remember the meaning of Sanatana. That's what it says. So moksha and all these we talk about, it goes to the next level of the religion part. Good? So the 24th slok is the same as the 23rd slok, the first line, but the second line also talks about like all these adjectives again about consciousness, right? How the consciousness is, and that's what we self are. Okay. Is that a time to go for 25th? No? Okay.
It's 5:08.
Oh, 508. Okay. So we will start with 25th next week, right? Ray, are you good with 25th to 30th? Okay. So we will start from there and we will end at 30th if we go. Okay? Thank you guys for coming. Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys.